All right, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for tuning in today's Saturday Lions Talk Live morning show edition. And you're doing something right when other people are talking about you, throwing stones, throwing shade, whatever you want to say. Hey, let's face it, the Detroit Lions were once probably the most popular and well talked about team in the whole NFL. And why is that? Because everybody was kicking your butt. And nobody says anything bad about you when they're on the right side of the scoreboard. And you know what? Hey, that coach is doing a great job. That GM, man, he might be up for GM of the year. And I get if you're a Lions fan, you've probably heard so many other teams talk highly about us over the last 50 or 70 years because of just that. It benefited them to not change things. Everything you were doing was helping them out and making them look great. And here's what I can say. You guys know I've been a coach for, next year will be my 35th year. I've been a GM at different levels for, 3 different stops or whatever in different countries or this country. And here's what I can say. People love you when they beat you. When you win a lot, when you put them down, when you make them look bad, that's when they start raising some eyebrows and start saying, hey, did you hear this about that person or whatever? Just start talking off the cuff, whatever you want to say. So that's going to be the point of today's video. And I'm sure most of you got that by looking at the thumbnail. Brad Holmes has changed the game, especially for the Detroit Lions. What he's done here for this franchise, for this fan base, for the expectations is just off the charts. And he's never going to get enough praise. Nobody wanted to come to Detroit. Nobody thought it could be done. The team was cursed. I mean, the ownership was horrible. Whatever metric you wanted to throw, it was all viewed as bad. William Clay would throw money at the situation left and right. Unfortunately, he just did not make great selections as far as who to put into situations of power or to run the franchise. But that's no longer the case. Sheila Ford Hamp has come in. She's revitalized the organization. And part of that, obviously, is the selection of Brad Holmes. So let's talk about that today. Get your guys' thoughts. Maybe you guys have some opinions to throw in there. A couple things, though, before we get going with the show. Tomorrow, I know some of you guys have been asking me for months now to do a show on scouting. So I don't have a very busy day today. So I'm going to sit around and change the office. For logistical reasons, I've got to get some of the stuff off the board because I can't put that stuff out on air, otherwise I'd get in trouble. So I gotta take some photos of that stuff so I can put it back up when the show's over. But that's what I'm gonna work on today. I'm gonna get some things set up for tomorrow's show about being a scout. And again, just keep this in mind. It's not any information I give is just for scouting in general. It's not for NFL scouting. Also, Monday, at least for part of the show, we're gonna have, I promise you guys, a few more guests to come on. And Jeff Risden, I'm pretty sure if you're a Lions fan, you know who Jeff is. He's going to come on the show, give about a 10, 15-minute segment, whatever we can squeeze out of him towards the end of the show because he's got some parental duties, I guess you could say, during the first part of the show. He's going to come on towards the last part of the show and hop on, talk about the Lions. And then we're trying to set up a couple of things for next week, or at least I'm trying to set up a couple of things for next week as well. Couple surprise guests if their schedules work out. One of them is an offensive lineman who's played in multiple Super Bowls, who's from Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I've reached out to an old friend and said, hey, would you mind coming on and talking the show? He said he's going to try to make it happen. So, all right, couple of real quick things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Making a push to get to 6,700. And we're about 95 subs away. We're in the home stretch. So if you haven't yet subscribed and you would be willing to do so, please consider it. Also, if you can, hit that thumbs up button. Last but never least, because I got to give myself a little bit of a shout out. I mean, you don't make any money off these live videos unless, people throw you money. So, hey, shameless plug here. If you're looking to buy or sell property anywhere in the state of Michigan, give me a call, shoot me a text, 269-998-2384. Let me use over 30 years of experience in the real estate industry to your behest, save you some money on either the purchase or sale of property. All right, now that we got all the formalities out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about, analyze Brad Holmes, Detroit Lions. What has changed the game? What's got so many other GMs and teams talking shade or taking shots at us, throwing shade at us, all the above. All right, Frank the Tank going to start us off with Frank the Tank. Woo! The first woo of the show. Is that so you? It's Saturday in spring! Exclamation point. Good morning, coach and crew. Back at you. Hopefully, I'm having a great one. You. Let's see. Michael D. Greens and salutations, coach and Duke crew. 100%. And good morning to you, Michael. Bo, what do you got? Good morning, Duke crew. Superdome or bust under pressure. Coming down on me. That's what Brad is doing to everyone else. Yeah. So let's dive into it. Is there really anybody he's egregiously missed on with any of his draft selections? I would say no. I mean, the results have obviously some are going to be through the charts, others are just going to be kind of mid-range, but that's way and afar better than what the NFL average is. Keep in mind, man, I don't know, like only 40% of draft picks really make it beyond a few seasons. Most NFL careers want to say end at three seasons. So the fact that you can look at this roster and we've just done the fourth draft and everyone from the first draft is still in the NFL, that alone is a massive change for the Detroit Lions, let alone not just beating the odds, but superseding the odds by an exponential level. Now do that with the second draft, the third draft, etc. You get it. You've got Brad Holmes not just finding guys that can play at this game, but playing at a high level. Penei Sewell, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I guess to be fair, the jury's still out on James Houston, but if what we saw in the rookie year is what you can expect this year, then man, I mean, again, you credit the scouting department, credit, Brad Holmes. They're just, getting massive wins. Colby Scoresdale, if he ends up being even just a remotely good backup offensive lineman, through the charts. We can say the same with Broderick Martin. If he ends up being even a remotely good backup, then he's through the charts. If Melifonwu has come through last year and just really, really been sound. Same with Kirby Joseph, and I can go through a laundry list of guys, but I think you guys all get it. What Brad Holmes is doing with these draft picks to change the franchise, to change our fortunes, but also he's putting a lot of pressure on other general managers whose owners probably take notice and kind of bump their GMs and say, hey, why aren't you doing what he's doing? All right, Hatman, good morning, Dan and Duke crew family, Duke family. Woo! 100% Hatman, good morning to you. Robert G, good morning all, back at you. Frank Tank, listen to other podcasts from people from Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago. They're still saying Gibbs Campbell was a bad pick. Linebacker teams are jealous because the Lions are doing it differently. Yeah, I think, Frank, you're more right on that than you could probably know. Anytime you upset the norm and do something differently, you're the first person through the wall. You're going to take shots. You're going to get bloodied. You're going to have people take notice and throw shade at you. If you go back, like you're pointing out, Frank, to let's just use when Gibbs and Campbell were selected. I'm sure anybody who's a Lions fan was watching the NFL draft, or you're watching some version of it, whether it's on a podcaster or cable network or whatever, and everybody was stunned. Everybody gave the Lions terrible grades. They're out of their minds. They're crazy. Nobody takes a running back that high. Nobody takes a linebacker that high. What are you doing now taking a tight end? But look how it all worked out. Obviously, Brad Holmes, the Detroit Lions, and to be fair, it's Brad Holmes gets all the notoriety, but there are a lot of people behind him, support individuals that give him the intel, the information, the correct ratings on these guys or reviews, that he's able to make those competent selections. He has enough confidence in those people to push forward and go ahead and take them. But you're right, Frank. He's putting more and more pressure. He's making more and more teams look bad because, like I was just saying about with the owners of the franchise, if they're sitting in that war room at the time where their GM or whoever is sitting there going, man, Brad Holmes is the stupidest person ever. He just took a running back at 12 and a linebacker at 18. Man, kudos for him because he's making our job easier, getting better talent. But a year later or somewhere during the last season, I'm sure those owners were looking over and going, man, I thought you said these guys were bad. These guys are all pros as rookies. All right, let's see, Bo. While I take all these any mouse quotes getting thrown down with a liberal grain of salt, there is a definite theme there. Yeah, and people with their own agenda, for sure, man, for sure. People that, and I would just say this. I know I kind of said it earlier. when you're beating somebody's head in all the time, that person's great because they make you look great. But to your point, Bo, when you're now you're being victimized by the results of those questionable or different practices, that's when I think people start wanting to find a reason to blame something other than themselves. Brad Holmes, man, hey, he's doing a great job, and I'm guessing, and I know we've talked about on the show before, but I'm guessing there are just a ton of teams, especially if this draft hits, then we're going to lose even more scouts next year, like we did this past offseason or this offseason and the one prior, because everybody's going to want to emulate what you're doing. Anybody who's ever watched the movie Moneyball, they get, as soon as that first season with the Oakland A's, where they were trying to basically use computer science to figure out who to select and at lesser costs, finding value with players other teams missed for whatever reasons. Billy Beane was interviewed by the Boston Red Sox and offered a then historic amount of money to come and turn it down. I get why. I mean, his family and his daughter lived there in California. He didn't want to come out to Boston, Massachusetts and be away from his kid, or at least that far away from his kid. So I get those aspects. But, Billy Beane took a ton of heat, took a ton of shade, had everybody in the national media telling him how horrible and stupid he was for doing this new system, till it worked, till they set a MLB record for most consecutive wins and every other thing. But also keep in mind, once they went into the playoffs and lost, everybody was ready to unload on them, throw as much dirt on their grave as they could, because they understood he was now a threat to the way they were doing things in their livelihood. So, and I think Brad Holmes, to it, maybe not a Billy Beane extent, but to a certain extent, is threatening other people's paychecks and their careers. And that's why you're seeing the shade come out. Frank Tank, are the teams in the NFL are jealous of the Detroit Lions because they're not doing it like everybody else else is? Go Lions. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're doing something different. People either don't understand it or don't like it. Maybe they don't want to play catch up. So, yeah, they're going to come at you. JDC, good morning, all. Back at you. Lions fan number one, greetings and salutations. I've seen a few places say some GMs think Holmes is pushing it with some of these picks. Yeah, and I know there was, of course, it was an anonymous source. I don't think anybody had a problem with the cornerback selections this year, but you did see some remarks come out about Manu that they reached. He should have been a 6th rounder or 7th rounder. My question is, if you look at that GM's board, did they have that grade on him, and that's where they wanted to get him? Maybe they wanted that particular selection, Giovanni Manu, and because the Lions were able to leapfrog them to get it, now they're angry. They're talking with emotions versus logic. I mean, who knows, man? Steve Rogers, good morning, everyone. Let the fellowship of the dew begin for the day. All right. Is that like a Lord of the Rings reference? Let me know, Cap. All right. Bo, Brad Holmes, what? Me worry? What? Question marks? Probably not. Yeah, I know. I'm guessing Brad Holmes isn't too worried about what anybody says. Hey, man, I bet you won't hear crap from good teams like the 49ers, Chiefs, Ravens, and such, because they know Brad is cooking and they are trying to stay ahead of him. 100%. I have no doubt by this point in his career, his tenure with Detroit, other teams, other general managers have already begun the process of reviewing what can we learn from this situation. How can we maybe alter some of our practices to better, take in what he's showing us. And it's no different in the world of coaching. Somebody uses a play or comes up with a formation that you like, you're probably copying it. And it's no different, I'm guessing, in any business or whatever. But to your point, Hat Man, yeah, they're going to the better teams are probably not complaining or being vocal about it. They're just, taking pieces of it and putting it into their own playbook, so to speak. All right, Frank the Tank, this might be a bold statement, but I think Arnold, what will be a slot corner? He's so good in small areas. They will figure the guarding St. Brown goal lines. So I think you probably got a lot more truth there than maybe most realize there, Frank. I'm anticipating Arnold. I know I talked about it before when he was drafted. He's going to play the star position. So what is the star position in the NFL? Basically, you're going to be a weak side linebacker. You will play safety, and you will play slot corner. It doesn't mean they won't ever play him on the outside, but those will probably be his 3 primary spots because of the amount of the field he can mathematically remove by being in the center of the field. And I know I've also mentioned this before. I really think they would have done Jeff Okudah a solid, and he might even still be a Detroit Lion if they kept him to just that. But I also get they were so weak at other spots that they had to play him all over. And, no offense to Jeff Okudah, I just think, that and the injuries destroyed his career before it ever really got going. With Arnold, though, he is like Stickum. And if you guys don't know what that is, you'll have to Google it. But he is so tight with his hips as far as being able to change directions and get in and out of breaks that when receivers make that initial plant, and let's just say I'm going to go up and in here, when they plant that right foot and I'll put all their weight on those ligaments and knees to quickly get out that way, it doesn't affect him. That's one of the problems we've had with our cornerback positions is when that person plants and goes, it takes a while for our corners to catch up. And it may only seem like half a second, but I'll ask anybody watching this, if you go run a straight line and then break, and I have to give you a half a second leeway, how much separation do you now have for a quarterback to throw it into? To your point, Frank, with Arnold, yeah, he really minimizes that greatly. So I'm anticipating if he does play the star that, yeah, you're going to see him all over a tight end, a slot, a running back, and he's going to probably take that person off the play his rookie year. Now, maybe halfway through the season, towards the end of the season, he progresses to where he covers more responsibilities over the field. But that would be my guess right now. So it'd probably be Davis outside. If I'm guessing, Davis outside, Arnold inside, and then Robertson or some other corner on the other outside. At least that's my guesses right now with probably Brian Branch and Iffy over the top. Maybe Kirby, but we'll wait and see. Hey, man, good morning, JDC. Hey, I'm on your left this morning. All right, fair enough. Let's see. Quentin, greens, salutations, y'all. True story. I used to sleep in on the weekends. Ha. Now my butt is getting up for the show. Love me, this group, and listening while I work out. Yeah, hey, I know there's probably a few people that have mentioned in the past that they get up, they listen to it while they're doing whatever with their day. So I'm just thankful you're all part of the Do Crew. Frank the Tank, when I used to talk to my friends about Brad Holmes, they say, we'll see. Now I talk to them and they say, oh, he's cocky. What's going on, man? Go Lions. Yeah, it's sort of like we've been talking about all morning, Frank. He's been successful with what he's doing. So now, because other teams aren't as successful, people throw shade at him. So it's the price of success. All right, Dave, it's simple. They're jealous. Woo! I think you're 100% right with that, Dave. And good morning to you, too. All right, Hatman. Yep. All right, fair enough. Jedi Sith, good morning, all. Coach, question for you. What is Holmes doing, in your view, that is so upsetting to other GMs? He's finding the quick and easy answer would be he's finding value that other people have missed. So sort of like with Tom Brady, we all get his story by whatever it's been 3 decades after he got drafted. 6th round pick. Everybody had the opportunity to take him at least 5 times, and nobody else did until they did. You could also say the same is true with a number of Lions players that have come in and produced, where Brad Holmes found the value in them, had the right ratings on them. Other teams missed it, so that makes them look bad. You're going to see, my guess is 3 years from now, we go back and look at the rookies who were drafted this year throughout the NFL, not just the Detroit Lions. You're going to look and say, man, this guy's not even in the league, or he's a bust. Man, he barely plays. And that's probably 50 to 70% of the guys that were just drafted in the first round. Now expand that over all the draft. And the vast majority of the guys that are rookies right now that feel like they're on top of the world, they just got the payday to come in and play football. Man, the future looks so bright. But the reality is 3 seasons from now, 40 to 50% of those guys from everybody in the draft are no longer even in the league, let alone how many of them that are still here because they were probably a 1st or 2nd or maybe a 3rd round selection. So they're going to get a few extra shots because of their draft status or the perceived value in them that, they're trying to hang on as best they can. And that's, I think, the quick answer for you. Like I mentioned earlier in the show, basically every Lions draft pick, with 1 or 2 exceptions, are still in the league, let alone with the team. And that's why I think he's drawing so much ire from other GMs. Trump's, woo! Woo! Good morning to you too, man. Hopefully you're having a good one. And we got a bike in the video. There we go. Bo, the force is with him, Jedi. There you go. Jedi, yes. LOL, nice one, Bo. There you go. And you might be right. Yes, I would concur. Frank, taking running backs and middle linebackers in the first round, NFL does not do that crap. All they want is wide receivers, man. The value D-line in wide receivers too much in the NFL. Woo! Yeah, and I think that's going to cause more and more changes if other teams start doing that as well. It is kind of a different approach, one that really has been out of the NFL for about a decade or so. The amount of value that used to be back in the day with linebackers, tight ends, offense, defensive linemen, running backs, etc. That is kind of an old school mentality. But if Detroit keeps doing that, keeps being successful, you will inexorably see other teams mimic it. All right, Frank, what do you got? The tank after the Lions winning Super Bowl, Cooper Super Bowls, a couple Super Bowls. Other teams will start copying Cat in them, Detroit Lions, and I hope it's Detroit versus Kansas City in the Super Bowl. You know, and I got to imagine until Kansas City really goes on probably about 5-year mystery list from missing the Super Bowl, you're going to see everybody keep picking them, and I get it, man. They've been great. They've had a heck of a run, and they probably will for a while still to come. Detroit just gets the Super Bowl, man. I'm going to be happy, but once we get there, I'm going to want us to win it, probably like everybody else. I might even do a live stream for that one. All right, Dave. Yep. Remember how ESPN and the media said that was stupid? Question mark. Micro Mike even gave Holmes grief over taking Gibbs and Campbell. I guess we still don't know on Campbell if he's going to be a star. No, I mean, most rookies don't come in and do what the top 4 did last year. So, you know, Laporta, Gibbs, et cetera, Brian Branch and Campbell. Now, with that being said, we did have 2 of them get, you know, tons of acclaim for the seasons they put together. The other 2, Brian Branch and Campbell, do I think they did a very good job for rookies? Yeah, they far and wide superseded expectations. And that, again, is a credit to Brad Holmes. Brad Holmes, even as we all know, traded down from 6 to be able to acquire more assets, which he turned into those 3. So, again, he's just constantly making moves that's upsetting the apple cart of the NFL. And at the end of the day, is it rocket science? No, but you got to have, in my opinion, as a GM, as a coach, you got to have a little bit of an instinct. And some people do not. Some people will look at what you did and can't figure it out. And that's probably true in whatever profession you have in life. It's just a reality of things. Brad Holmes clearly is tuned into the NFL game, not just as GM, but how the structure works around things. And that's, in my opinion, part of the reason why he is so repeatably successful. All right, Matthew, what do you got? Greetings and salutations. Good morning, everyone. Super Bowl or bust! Exclamation point. Woo! Good morning to you, Matthew. Hopefully you're an outstanding one. Frank, they remind me of my coach back in the day, saw me playing soccer in a different field and came and got me to play on his team. Ended up being the best decision of my life. Love you, Mr. Bell. Hey, there you go. I'm glad it worked out for you there, Frank. All right, Jess, what do you got? Good morning, all. Has Holmes missed on anything yet other than Levi? Everyone else, I feel, has a chance. I want to, in the Levi thing, I think if he wouldn't have had the back injury, he probably would have been pretty dang good. Being that as it is, injuries happen and they're unforeseeable events. He did play, and I know I've talked about it before, he did play Levi at a high level last year. It was just on very moderated snaps. They knew they couldn't overload him. If he makes the team again this year, maybe you see a little bit of an uptick in the snap count just because hopefully the back has healed up, progressed, strengthened more. I don't think he's ever going to be what he could have been, but he did still, in fairness to him, he did have a very good season a year ago, just not on a ton of snaps. All right, Bo, I still think the book is open on Levi. Yeah, that's fair to say, Bo, 100%. George at Jesse Lynn, I would say maybe Levi and Pascal, question mark, I don't know. I mean, Pascal's sort of the same as Levi. Injuries have slowed them down, but could they both come out this year and put forth something, great? Absolutely. George, but Holmes hasn't really missed on anyone yet, I don't think. Fair enough. France, good evening, gang. OBJ's gone. Are we going after Boyd or anyone else? Not that I've heard of, but could something happen in training camp? I would say pay more attention to that at that time. Just like, hey, greetings and salutations. I can totally understand why other teams wouldn't be happy with Brad. He's making them all look bad. LOL. Yeah, 100%. When you're doing things other people aren't, yeah, you're gonna get some raised eyebrows coming after you. Hookadoo. Good morning, coach and crew. Holmes sets trends. He doesn't follow them. Grit. 100%. I agree with that. He's not worried about what other people are thinking, what they're doing. He's gonna worry about what he thinks is right. So I think you're spot on with that, Hook. All right, Dave, good point with that, Hookadoo. There you go. Hatman, France didn't want OBJ anyways, and Boyd is more of a slot receiver. We have one of the best. Yeah, and I'm with you on that, man, Hat. I just think with Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown predominantly going to work the areas that Boyd would work. I'm just not 100% sure I would go that route just because you're going to overload the middle of the field pretty quick. Hookadoo Dave, thumbs up. Very good. Bo, the international trendsetter. There you go. There he is. Brad Holmes is. Rocky, good morning. All was thinking Brad is doing a great job, and soon he will have no trade partners with his ability to find talent. Yeah, I mean, I got to imagine if Brad Holmes is ringing your phone, you got to probably, as a team, have to start wondering what are you missing that's on the board that he clearly sees. Now, again, you want to keep the trend going. So this year, just for the sake of discussion, let's just say Giovanni works out or Mahoney works out, Baki works out at a high level, that is. Then you're going to see a lot of teams really have to look at their boards and say, man, where did we go wrong with our grades and evaluations where the Detroit Lions and Brad Holmes came through and said, obviously they had much more accurate information. And that's where the big debate begins. Let's see, Hetman International Harvester, that's Brad there. We'll go with that. And at this point, yeah, it was especially getting people from different countries now to come on over and play for the Lions. 100% true. My marker, good morning, everyone. I see that Frank is giving Dan tongue twisters this early morning. He is, man. Mile marker, hopefully coach feeling better. Yeah, 100%. About halfway through the day yesterday, I started feeling, maybe not 100%, but pretty dang close. And then today, I feel pretty dang good. So I guess the curse of the McDouble is over with. At least let's hope. Bo, what do you think about the international guy they picked up, not the Canadian? I'm trying to think who that would be then. Maybe I'm drawing a blank on that. Sorry about that, Bo. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Hatman, hey, Dan, don't forget about the commercial delay we get. Yeah, I used to not ever want to do like an intro video, but I guess now I'm aware why people run that, 30-second whatever intro. So like I said, I've got some time off today. I'm going to try to set some stuff up for tomorrow morning's Life of a GM Scout video. Maybe I'll try to see if I can come up with something for an intro for the show. So I'm on it, Hatman. I'm on it. Phil, are you feeling eater, Dan? Question mark. Something seems off. Oh no, I'm feeling better, man. I feel good. Yeah. I haven't had my morning Mountain Dew yet, but other than that, I feel pretty good, man. Normal, I should say. Feel normal. Rocky, soon it will be hello. This is Brad. Click. Yeah. Woo! No, you're doing good. Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah, nobody's gonna want to answer that phone when he calls. Eric, good morning. Good morning to you, Eric. Hopefully having a good one. Bo, all hail Sheila. Yeah, 100%. It all began with her, and it's come on down. So she's done just an outstanding job. But she's done a great job because she's trusted and made the right selections to who to bring in. And again, nothing against her dad. I think he tried his butt off. I think he wanted to win so bad. It's just unfortunate, man. He just couldn't get the right pieces to come together. All right, Ed, good morning, coach and Duke crew. On the lake fishing with my Chicago buddies and joining in on the woo! Well, good morning, Ed. Hopefully you're getting some good catches this morning. All right, Doug, I can testify. Everyone loves to encourage the underdog, not a threat. As a singer / songwriter locally, so much I can't say that. Our first several months after not so competition now, all fields. Yeah, So I would use it this way. When I got into coaching, probably like a lot of coaches, you start off working camps for college or professional teams. You want to get noticed. You're trying to, find a way into the ranks. So it's tough, especially if you're talking the college or professional level. So as an example, let's say between both professionally and collegiately in the United States, there's probably like 5,000 jobs that come open in a given year. But you've got 200 to 500,000 people trying to get those jobs from across the planet. So let those numbers sink in. It is dang hard to get into one of those spots. So at least back in my day, back in the 80s and 90s, you had to work all these camps. You had to basically do whatever the people in power at those jobs, whatever you could to gain their attention. And once you got into one of those jobs, obviously you're trying to move up further and further. So when I got my first head coaching job, a lot of the people I knew that I would be coaching against were all buddies. But then once we started winning one season, and then I think I noticed it by my third season, we won at a high enough clip where I could tell a lot of those friends that were all jokes and smiles when we hang out, play, euchre or shoot hoops or whatever it was. Some of the attitudes changed. And my anticipation is that's why you're seeing more and more of this commentary happen with Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions. I think, the feel-good story of a couple seasons ago that, hey, they're finally winning again. And then obviously last year where the vast majority of the nation, when we got into the playoffs, were actually supporting the Detroit Lions unless they were facing, an area local team. But I think if that happens another season or two, even with the national media, you'll see some of them now sway against us because one thing I can say, human nature, everybody loves you until you're victorious. Then they want to see you fall. All right, Hookadoo. I think when Sheila shows up at the stadium, the red carpet rolls out. It should, man. It should. JDC, one do crew, yell on 3. 1, 2, 3. Woo! There you go. Woo! There you go, Hookadoo. Miles, Sheila is my hero, 100%. Woo! Bo, woo! Boy, there are going to be some people not happy with this one. All right, is that so you? Oh, yeah. All right. Uncle Buzz, if you don't go with Mel's chalk, you must be doing something wrong. Yeah, 100% with that. And I know Mel Kiper, man, what was it, like 30 years ago when Trent Dilfer or whatever, he thought he should be like the number, whatever it was, 3 or 4 pick overall by the Colts. And the Colts, GM was clearly wanting to go in a different direction and even came out and said, well, who is Mel? Gosh, I can't think of his last name right now. But anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about, the hairspray. So, that just started the great debate. So it is what it is. People are going to see value in somebody that somebody else doesn't see. Doesn't mean that you're always correct, but you got to go with your own picks. All right, Brent, other GMs are just jealous that they can't cook like Brad. There you go. I think you're right with that, Brent. When he's doing it at such a chef's kiss level and they're not, then yes. All right, Mike the Marine Gunny. Howdy, Dan. Lions favorite. Too early to say 13-4. Woo! No, not too early at all. You're about where I'm thinking they're going to be as far as the record. So I could be wrong, but that's where I think they're going. I really think this year we're just going to be devastating on both sides of the ball for most teams to have to deal with. Wait and see, though. All right, Bo, 14-3 Gunny. There you go. Eric, who do we want to play game 1, San Fran or Dallas? Yeah, I know there's been some speculation if we would get the lead-in game again this year. I don't think we'll have the Thursday night game, although I could be way wrong. But I do believe the first game of the season, man, if I had to pick between those two, I would say let's just go with San Fran. Leave Dallas for a little bit later in the season. All right, Mike, thumbs up. There you go. Mike, the gunning, what is he? Go Bo Booth. There you go. Doug, same as Ben Johnson. He was, quote, destined to take Washington's job. After he turned down, it was, quote, maybe he wasn't good enough, end quote, or whatever. News and observations are so varied by personalities. Yeah, 100%. And let's also be fair. Human personality usually means, not with everybody, but with a lot of people, if you're successful, I'm going to dislike you for it. So it's unfortunate, but that is kind of to a degree how we're wired. All right, Uncle Buzz, the quote experts say you need to draft this guy. Brad Holmes says, hold my beer. There's probably a lot of truth to that. Let's see what you got. Matthew, the other teams won't get his best scout because the best scout on the Lions staff is Brad Holmes. He listens to everyone, but at the end of the day, he still looks at tape and makes the final call. Yeah, so the scouting department turns over their observations or notes or whatever, and then he's going to go in for final review. But I'd say he's got a pretty good eye for things. He's risen from the ranks. Most people know his story that he was working at an enterprise car rental, having a entry-level job with the Rams, and then just slowly worked his way up. So kudos for him, man. He put in a lot of effort and time. Rocky, go figure. A Lions GM being called cocky. They should remember a name like Russ Thomas when all the other GMs liked him because after his so picks, the next team got an all-pro. They didn't cry then. No, that's you're making my point there, Rocky, and I think we think alike. Yeah, everybody loves you when you benefit them. When you go against their success, yeah, that's when they're coming after you. JDC, expert equals X as has been. Spurt is a little drip. Very good. Shop the VTG. Morning, coach. I usually listen after the stream, but going out to Grand Rapids to sell vintage clothes today. Exclamation point. Glad to be here live. Hey, glad to have you a part of the show, and good luck on the trip. Yeah, I won't head to Grand Rapids today, but I go up there quite often for work. So enjoy the trip, my friend. By the way, if you get an opportunity, if you like subs, stop. It's just over off 28th Street. As far as I know, it's the last remaining Blimpie's subs / sandwiches. Maybe there's another one around, but it's the only one I am aware of that's still around. Anytime I go up to GR, I try to stop in just for that. So, all right, Mike the Marine, thumbs up. Do it for Dan. Woo! Yes, if you guys can, if you're enjoying the show, hit that thumbs up button. You guys all know it helps out a lot. Hoogadoo, already done gunning. There you go, and thank you. Phil Doe, what do you got? Howdy doody. Bad part is the GMs will want to stop dealing with Brad as they get tired of being outsmarted. Yes, and hey, it's part of it, man. People will maybe take a somewhat similar but lesser offer from somebody else because they don't want to deal with you anymore. It is what it is. It's unfortunate when people think when you're good at something and you make it look easy, everybody else thinks I could do that too, or I could do it better. And boy, I'm probably going to draw some smoke from this one. There was one particular coaching assignment I had where I was also a GM, and we had an expansion team. And, you guys, I'm sure you all know what an expansion team is. So I won't go through it, but first year ever franchise, we weren't anticipated to do much. We ended up being something like, and don't hold me to this, I'm going off some memories from years ago, something like 12-2 on the year. And we're like number 4 in the national rankings for this pro team. And everybody's like, wow, it made it look so easy and everything. And there was some disgruntlement within different higher layers of the franchise. So I said, you know what, if you guys really want to have somebody else change some things, whatever, with the coaching assignments, we've got basically a first round bye. It's a team that we've already played twice in the regular season, won both games by like over 80 points. I'm talking about basketball here. So let that sink in at the pro level with an expansion team. We won 2 games against this particular team by like an average of 80 points. So I agreed. I'll just do general manager stuff. I'll go out to a scouting combine and stuff like that. Let this other person on the franchise run the team for the playoffs. Ownership clearly wanted to go a different route with things. And I'm at the scouting combine for some other our first draft, and I get the call or the text where you want to say the team lost. There was a mutiny on the team, changed everything about, I guess, things, how it been going. So here's what I've learned in my old man wisdom. When something's cooking, when it's working, don't make any changes. Napoleon Bonaparte had a great quote: when your enemies are making mistakes, don't interrupt them. So, everybody's going to keep coming after Brad Holmes more and more if we're more successful. Same with MCDC. Right now, he's a fan favorite. everybody's going to say, hey, he's a great personality or whatever. But at some point, people will turn on you because you keep being successful and they want that success. All right, Phil, villain. Yes, I would concur. Brad Holmes proved everyone wrong over and over again. First, trading for Goff, knowing that there weren't any quarterbacks that he would like in 2021-22. No, Brad Holmes, remember, he was part of the scouting department that made the Rams trade up from, I think it was like 12 or 13 to number 1 to acquire Goff. So he felt like, to your point, there was enough there where he felt he could salvage or get good value out of Goff. So, and he's been proven very right with that. All right, Brent, Brad's next shirt equals positional arrogance. There you go. Laugh out loud. Fair enough. Silver Surfer. Who cares what other GMs think? Question mark. Plus, I don't know why even people out there these informations again. Who gives a yes? Why they get it out there? Some people just want to get it off their chest, man. They want to have their moment in the sun, get themselves heard. All right, Fields, what do you got? Best run organization. I'm 70 years old. I'm Brad. We trust. Yes, it's the best we've ever seen this franchise ran in a real long time. Bo, boy, I can't get that one or something from Austria. There we go. Yeah, could be, man. Bo, big athletic lineman. I'll have to look into it a little bit more. I mean, I know about him, but I don't know enough about him to really have any kind of opinion one way or the other. So go with that. One comment from a GM proves why Brad Holmes is better. Moving up from 29 was a mistake. You can pick another cornerback instead. Yeah, I don't prescribe to that. Just because you might have similar ratings doesn't mean you're better. In my opinion, and that's all it is my opinion. We came in this draft and we were saying it for a month or so ahead of time. I remember everybody talking about it in the chat. It would have been dang hard to house 7 draft picks on the 53-man roster. Putting them on the practice squad probably means they're getting poached. So in my opinion, they made a move, and I really thought we'd keep 4 or 5 players. They're going to keep 6, I'm guessing. But each of these people were targeted choices. There's a reason why they traded so often to get these guys. Rakestraw is probably the only one that really fell to their lap. And probably that was a surprise. Now, they may have said, hey, we've got 2 or 3 people at that pick at 61 where we'll go and take whoever's there. If one goes, it's not going to kill us. But they wanted Arnold. And I get, I did a video and there's been news on it as well that they were talking about trade up to get Darius Robinson. I get that stuff. But there are specific reasons why they went after each of these draft picks. And where the value is, leave that to them to cook and decide. But they wanted those guys. They went out and got them. And I'm a big fan. You get the guys or the players you like, not that are similar ratings. If you feel like there's a minute difference between the two, but that minute difference is going to make a huge impact, then go with that. All right, one funky. Brad tried to get Donald in the first trade. He did. He settled for Goff. Why does everyone fall for coach speech? Question mark. Out of everyone this regime has brought, can anyone name anyone they have been negative about? I can't. To your point, one funky, I just think they've done a great job with acquiring whoever, whether it's via a trade or the draft or whatever. I mean, there's been some free agent signings that haven't gone great, but yeah, that's to a certain degree the law of averages. We all wish that Brad Holmes could touch everything and turn it to gold, but hey, he's not maybe getting everything to turn to gold, but he's getting a lot of it to turn. All right, Ed, what do you got? We'll be entertained to see if Green Bay, Mini, Chicago sign our cuts. My guess is there might be. JDC Blimpies, yum. Yeah, I used to love some of the ones around here, but I don't know what happened. That's the only one I know that's left. All right, Bo, I hit the Blimpies a few times back in the day. Yeah, I used to love it there, man. I used to love their pickled turkey sandwiches. All right, mile marker, I'm really looking forward to the scouting video and maybe one about assistant coaches down the road. Yeah, if you guys want that, I'll do that. We'll start with the scouting video, the life of a scout tomorrow, and go from there. Doug, Brad, bad. All right, exclamation point. Brad is doing what they can't. I would agree with that. Been watching the Lions since 1957. The Lions finally have their innovator, not some wash up who's been used up all his tricks, a true visionary. Yeah, hey man, he's gotten his shot and we all get it. He's done incredibly well here. Hopefully he keeps that going. Anthony, my daddy always told me it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah, I agree with that. If but unfortunately, when you do things differently, that sometimes gets people to think that their way would be better. So I'll just leave it alone with that. I've been coaching a long time. I've been very fortunate that everywhere I've coached, we've found success. But I can tell you, even to this day, having coached, like I said, 34 different seasons, over that time, the teams I've been fortunate enough to coach, we've won like 91% of our games. And over that time frame, that's a long time frame. But even like last year, and I get it's the high school level, it's a little different. You still have people taking shots. Man, we should be doing this on offense or that on offense or defense or whatever. I go, look, man, you just won 22-3. You won 12 games the year before. You have the number one offense in the state of Michigan. You've got 4 people who average double figures in scoring on a high school team. That just doesn't happen. And yet, there's still going to be people who say, you should be do this on offense or defense. And that really matters for my situation. The point is you're going to have that in any situation. I have no doubt for the Kansas City Chiefs, you've got people out there saying Patrick Mahomes should be doing this. Andrew Reid should be doing that. And that's kind of my point. There's always going to be detractors. So Brad Holmes, you probably know you're doing something right if people are throwing stones at you. That's my 10 cents of wisdom there. Rocky, not a coincidence. All this good stuff started when our friend Chris Spielman came aboard, football guy, guru also. Yeah, 100%. He's definitely contributed. He probably just doesn't get as much recognition just because he's not in front of the cameras. His position is a pronounced one as far as where people get to interact or watch his effects. Brad Holmes, because there's a cause and effect, he gets credit. Same with the coaching staff, same with the players. When you're a behind the scenes person where people cannot see the results of anything you put forth, that's, it falls under the radar. Mike the Marine, Blimpie's sub shop on Michigan Avenue and Allen Road in Dearborn in 80s. Yes. I don't know about those ones, but I do remember the Blimpie subs. Miles Marker, yes, Spielman definitely made the difference. He did. And Sheila, correct. Anthony, how does a Chicago team think about winning the North with the same O-line, rookie players, an unproven quarterback? Hey, hope springs eternal until it doesn't. So right now, everybody's feeling real good in Chicago. They're going to believe they can win it all. They're going to believe they can win the Super Bowl. And then the season will hit, and then we'll have to see how they do. Hookadoo, let's see. Hey, Anthony, good morning, and I agree with that. I'll go with that. One funky mile marker, don't forget John Dorsey. I concur. See, Doug, exactly. They targeted up for Manu and really upside prospects for guard and tackle. Face it, soon he may not necessarily, excuse me, soon he may be necessary, but not immediately. Most people do not look ahead. Visionaries do. And that's where I think you're 100% right, Doug, that a lot of the draft picks we've selected last year and this year, I get the first rounders, second rounders, you want them to come in and play right away. But I really do think Broderick Martin is going to make a pretty good jump this year. Could there be that at some point Hendon Hooker or other players like Green or whoever come in and make an impact, scores now? Sure. And then you look at this year's group. There's a lot of clay there that can be molded into something. And I believe you'll see Mahogany evolve. I think you'll see Manu evolve, Vaki evolve. I mean, who knows beyond that? Maybe Wingo does too. But the more you can have time to groom players that maybe they've got the physical aspect, now they just need more of the mechanical development. You do that, then you're going to have some real sustainable future. And I do think it, on a side note, and I know there are rivals, but that is one thing I think the Green Bay Packers have done just a really great job of for decades. They get late round talent that maybe has some question marks. There's a reason why somebody didn't jump on them in the draft. And they get them. They slowly bring them around, develop them, and they keep getting wins with that. So just a thought. All right, Anthony. Oh, and Swift, who last year was behind the number 2 O-line, now behind a number 19 offensive line. He's going to be hurt a lot. He might be, man. He's holding on to his paycheck. So, Anthony, good morning, Hookadoo. There you go. Doug, and what picks would be safe on practice squad after pick 1 and 2? Probably not many of them, especially with the fact that some of these guys clearly have some physical abilities, some raw athletic abilities. I think you put any of them on the practice squad, of these guys from this year, they're probably going to get gobbled up quick. JDC, everyone is back at square one. Let the war games begin. Go Lions, 100%. Miles Margaret, oh yeah, Dorsey, really good, 100%. JDC, yes. Thank you, Chris Spielman. Keitho, the Bears thought that last couple of years as well. They did. And then Mike DeMarine, I would love to sign safety Simmons. Could it happen? Sure. Could they add still some parts? They do have the salary cap space to make a few more moves. We'll have to wait and see. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up and call it a show. It is Saturday. Got a little bit of time here today, so I'm going to work on some stuff. I'm going to work on that scouting video and a few other things for the channel. Like I said, Monday, it'll be later in the show, but Jeff Risden's going to join us. At least it sounds like it from talking to Jeff. So trying to get a few guests to come on, give some different viewpoints. Also offer some change of paces in the show, especially during the off season, where we all know, hey, the news probably isn't coming out like it does during the free agent window or the draft window or during the regular season. So, all right, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that push for 6,700 subs. We're about 90 away, so if you can help out, that would be great. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please consider hitting the thumbs up button. It helps out the channel a lot. If there's breaking news, I'll get it over to you as quick as I can. Otherwise, take care. Enjoy your day. We'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.